What's up guys, how you doing? My name is Masud. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the positives and negatives of studying physiotherapy in the UK as an international student. Now, if you're an international student, I can imagine there are possibly a multitude of reasons why studying physio here in Great Britain could be an attractive option for you. So, for example, one being the English degree is highly favoured amongst the rest of the world. Number two, you get to integrate into a different culture, different lifestyle, and experience new things. Number three, you may even get a chance to earn more money working here in the UK after you've qualified than back home. So these are all things that you could possibly be considering, but I wanted to expand on these and give you a little bit of an insight into some of the disadvantages as well. So without further ado, let's go. Alright guys, so first positive is a very boring positive, but for some people may actually be, something quite interesting. So my first positive is, you will get a chance to practically carry out research, which is very different to some other universities that I found through looking online and speaking to other people around the world. What I mean by this is, in the degree that I studied, I actually got a chance to make a hypothesis with my group. I was in a group of 3 or 4 other people, make a hypothesis, carry out a literature review, analyze the evidence, critically analyze the evidence surrounding my research question, go out into the field and get data, so actually carry out research and get real data, then come inside, come back and analyze the data, come up with some results, and then discuss it, conclude it, and actually give a presentation. So we're actually carrying out real life small pilot studies. Now this may not be that appealing to other people, but I know that there are also some that find research really interesting. So this is maybe something that you may want to consider and as a positive. So yeah. Okay, number two, another positive is you get a real life experience of how the healthcare system in the UK is set up through your clinical education placements. Now, the reason why this may be a positive is because it increases your awareness and allows you to be more critically analytical when going back to your home country or studying somewhere else or working somewhere else around the world, because you get an idea of how healthcare is carried out within the UK, and you can possibly take this into your other work, and you could possibly make improvements or adjust and alter depending on what you've seen. Okay, coming in at number 3 is the vast amount of clinical work experience you will gain as an international student studying physio here in the UK. Now, to become qualified here, you have to complete 1,000 hours of clinical work placement. I'm not sure what the case is outside of the UK and other countries, but I know that as a student, the more practical experience you get in the hospital, in other sort of care settings, the better, because when you actually qualify as a physio and you go out into the real world, it becomes a little bit scary because you don't have anyone there watching you and advising you what to do, which is what you get whilst you're a student on the course. You get an educator there with you at all times, answering your questions, giving you advice, telling you what you can do better, etc., etc. So this is number 3 on our positives. Number 4 is similar to my point that I mentioned earlier. You do get a chance to integrate into a different culture, the British culture, and experience a different lifestyle, make new friends, and possibly even become a different person. And this is what happens when you do go to university, or especially if you go away from home. You experience different things and it allows you to broaden your horizons, right? I think studying in a different country can allow you to better yourself as a person, and you basically grow because you're able to interact with more people and you're more comfortable in a variety of settings. There you have it. Those were our positives. Now, very nice positives. Now I'm going to get into the disadvantages of actually being an international student and studying in the UK. So, in at number 1, we have the medical jargon that you will sort of come across in your degree. So as you can imagine, physio is a medical related profession, and you will come across different sort of Latin related words. However, because it's Britain and people use different sort of slang and different words, it might be a little bit harder or trickier for you to pick up on these things compared to someone who's had English as their first language. Disadvantage number 2 is, being an international student on the course, you may come across a few obstacles in terms of your learning style, and you may need some support. Now, teachers and lecturers, sometimes they may find it difficult to actually support your learning because you've come from a different learning system or education system, and the culture around learning is different, so they may not be aware of that, and because of that they won't be able to support you properly. An example of this is, you may have had a different marking system where you came from, and the universities where in your home country may have had a different marking system in your school and university, and this might be what you're used to, but when you come here, it's a little bit more, it's different. And so this may lead to some lecturers not being able to support you fully, and possibly not even being interested in helping you at times, which is a shame. So disadvantage number 3 is, being an international student, you may feel quite isolated and you may feel quite alienated amongst your cohort because you don't speak English as well, or you have different tastes and a different sort of a different accent or something like this. And this is very sad, of course, because when you're at university, everyone is pretty much a young adult and should be quite mature to respect that people can come from different backgrounds, and just to basically respect their needs, which is a shame when you think about it, that this sort of thing does happen at university. So this is something just to be aware of and just to be expected, really, because it's just the way it is. And I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but just be aware of it. Alright guys, so disadvantage number 4 is, similar to my positive point earlier that I talked about in terms of the research that you carry out. When you are an international student and you study physio here in the UK, the research that you do and the research that you look at and write about in your essays, presentations, and different projects, in the UK, research from the United Kingdom is favoured more than research which may be good or positive in other countries. It might be an emerging sort of treatment or something like that in, like, I don't know, Germany or something like that. Just as an example, and when you write about that in your work, lecturers may not see that as, or they may not mark you as highly because it's not from the UK. And this kind of makes sense because the course is run in affiliation with the NHS, and you do sort of do your placements in the NHS. So any research that you do look at, it influences care within the NHS. So you have to be aware of that healthcare education system, because that's gonna be where you're gonna be completing your placements. I imagine this is gonna be the case wherever you do your study, whichever country you do your study, because that country is gonna favor research within that country more, as you're qualifying in that country, if that makes sense. So guys, there you have it. Those were some of the positives and negatives of what it's like to be studying physio as an international student in the UK. I hope that was helpful, and if there is anything else that I missed out on, I probably did. Don't feel afraid to reach out to me or send me a message, or even comment down below in this video, and I'll answer your question as best as I can. If there's anything else that if you're an international student and you've studied here in the UK, you wanted to jot down your perspective on what's been said, then please do. That'll be amazing. But other than that, I'm going to catch you guys later, so have a nice day.